I would say it's become increasingly prevalent in recent years in light of the recession. The lack of prosperity that some Americans have been having, the growth of certain social welfare programs like food stamps is indicative of how many more people in our country are experiencing poverty, of some sort. And due to, the scarcity of wealth due to the recession, it's kind of created a lot of antagonism between different social classes. You have the 99% versus the 1%, which is a type of language we did not hear prior to 2008.
I think it really depends on where you are and which class, and it is prevalent depending on whether you're trying to be in business. I think it's also when it comes to politics as well, but when it comes to, I gotta be careful because middle class jobs, I don't think that is as important because a lot of things, in my opinion, you have a lot more resources and exposure based on what social class that your family comes from, and not necessarily you individually. The exposure is there more for higher social classes.
I think that actually the class system is becoming more and more prevalent in America, with the distinctions where the poor are getting poorer and the rich are getting richer. And so I think it's going to become even more of an issue than it is today.
I would say that it is less prevalent now than it has been historically over time, that we don't care as much about class distinctions and socioeconomic status as we used to. In fact, there are people in higher socioeconomic statuses that emulate the behaviors of people in lower socioeconomic statuses. I would say it's probably because of things like reality shows and things that sort of reward poor behavior, or don't really, reward that sort of thought process. There are people who want things that upper mobility would give them, such as material possessions, but I don't think we have as many things as mannerisms and dress that kind of divide us like we used to.
The 1%.
1%?
Yes. My family's very well off, and I'm very grateful for it.
I'd say based on the latest debates from the previous presidential election, that I would be in higher middle class.
The majority of people in the country, the vast majority, are middle class, and that is the class that I identify with.
I would say I was upper middle class.
As if money is no indicator of merit. I feel as if the worth of a man is indicated by how much money he has, but rather, the nature of his character. Money is really just a tool that can be used to do good or necessarily, sometimes wasted. I really don't think money is that important.
I don't really sit around and think about social classes. I don't think very much. So I don't feel like I have any sort of feelings of wanting to belong to a different class, nor glad that I don't belong to another class. I think because I work in a public high school and I get exposed to lots and lots of people, that I just don't think I have those stereotypes like I may have when I was younger, in the way other people might have without access to that diversity.
Well, I think it's hard to say. I think being rich is definitely a privilege. Really, what's to be poor? It doesn't make much sense. So, of course, the wealth of my family has enabled me to have a lot more opportunity. I've never had to worry about, where's the money that I'm going to have, buy books for, or clothes, or just anything I've ever wanted to experience. Money's never really been an issue.
I think one of the privileges might be that there's a standard of expecting our young people to become educated that other classes may not enjoy, and therefore might be more of a barrier to achievement for other classes.
Definitely, there are privileges, things that attending college, for example, is extremely difficult for people in lower classes whose parents have never negotiated that to attain without the help of especially schools and counselors and people guiding them in that direction. There are privileges of, there are things that I cannot do for my children that someone that is wealthier than I am can provide to their children, like travel and experiencing other countries and taking maybe classes that are expensive or belonging to sports even. I have noticed the lower class, or what I would consider students who can't afford to belong to teams, even at Henry Clay.